Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Someone wrote in and wanted to know what spirit looks like to me because I often say I see spirit, clairvoyant, and I hear spirit, which is clairaudience. And they want to know exactly what I mean by that when I say I see. Well, for me, I've been doing this work or I've had this ability to do this since I was a very little girl. And of course, I didn't completely come out of the closet until about 20 years ago. Now I'm out and proud. And I encourage others to do the same. But you have to reach a point in your life where you're not intimidated, you're not afraid about what people are going to say to you. I always wanted to be very careful because I had a husband who worked in the school system. He was a teacher for 31 years or 35 years rather. He still teaches, even though he's retired. He still teaches all the time, and he was always a head varsity coach. And I had children in the school system, so I wanted to be careful. People sometimes look at people like me and think that we're nuts, or a charlatan. So I was always very careful, and I always basically stayed out of sight. I always did this work, but privately. There were a select few who knew that I did this work, and then I really began my studies quite some time ago and learned how to hone in on my abilities, strengthen my abilities, and of course always use them in a way for the higher good and embrace them as a gift from God. So once I really honed in, it became a little easier for me to control it. Um, Now, when I say I see spirit, when I was growing up, I could see spirit like I would see another person. They would look exactly the same. It took me several years to learn how to work with them and work with my guides on the other side so that when spirit comes to me, if I see them with my own eyes, I'll see them in black and white. I won't see them in color. This way I can differentiate spirit from a physical living person. But I most often will see in my third eye, which is depicted on the pyramids, in the center of the forehead, the third eye. So it's just where I will see them if I'm doing a reading, a one-on-one reading. I will see them probably in my third eye, but sometimes going through the reading as I'm sitting there doing the reading, I will see them also with my own eyes. So it varies with me. I've had this ability for so long that it's very common for me to see them with my own eyes. But I'd say most mediums will see that are clairvoyant will see with their inner eye, unless they're older like me and they've done this all their life and they're used to seeing with their own eyes, then that's the way it is. But generally speaking, like if I'm doing a gallery, because I will read large groups of people, and it really is helpful for me because I see them coming in. And the only way I can explain what they look like, if anybody has seen that movie Ghost, and you saw what Patrick Swayze looked like after he had passed, and he came in and he looked like it looked like just a being of light that walked in. That's the way it is for me when I'm doing large galleries. I'll see like these lights coming towards me, like they just look like beams of light. But as they get closer to the person, I see how they look before they pass. Then they'll become more apparent to me that it's a male, a female, and how they looked. Maybe the length of the hair. Very rarely will I see color. The only time I see color is if it's significant to the read. Okay, so like I was doing a gallery one time for a large group family. They were all Italian, beautiful family, and there were about 25, 30 of them there. And everybody from Spirit, many from Spirit were present. Very loud, noisy group, very typical for this beautiful Italian family. And this energy walked in from Spirit with a Kelly green tie on, and a regular tie. And I said to the mother, I don't understand why, but I'm seeing this gentleman that just walked in, and he's wearing a Kelly green tie. And the mother started to cry, and the other children, the other siblings who were present, who are all adults now, they started to cry. And the mother said, he was the only child I adopted. We adopted him from Ireland. So that's why he presented himself with the green tie. So for me, just say an energy stepped in, it was really very, very evidential for the mother that I pointed out that he wore the green tie. So I leave it up to Spirit. If Spirit feels that color will be a very important, very essential part of the read, then they will show me a color. So that's just an example how it works for me. Okay, so a lot of people will see in their third eye. I encourage people to keep their eyes open. I had a student who used to come here. She's now certified and working in a professional capacity. Her name is Rebecca. I don't want to say any last names, but she's a wonderful medium. And she always used to, when she would receive her information, sit with her eyes closed. And I would encourage her to keep her eyes open. And it was hard, difficult for her at first because that's the way she learned to do it. So I always encourage my students to keep your eyes open because I don't want them to miss anything. A lot of these teachers make you feel like you can only see with your eyes closed, and that's just not true, especially when you're a strong medium like Rebecca is. And once she opened her eyes, so much more information was able to come in. She could see so much clearer than she could see with her eyes closed. So, I encourage people to keep their eyes open when they're doing a reading. So, for me, when I see spirits, sometimes I'll see them with my own eyes, my own physical eyes, and sometimes I'll see them with my third eye, which is the inner eye, which you can see, very clearly with your eyes open. It's just very different, hard to explain to the amateur out there who isn't used to doing this work. But you can see with both your inner eye and your own physical eye. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Oh, and I'll just recommend at this point in time, very good book written by my friend and colleague Rose Vanden Enden. The name of the book is So You Want to Be a Medium. It's a wonderful, wonderful book. I call it the Bible of Mediumship. And Rose wrote a very easy to follow book, easy to understand. So I encourage you to get that book, and it's like I say, an easy read, and just full of information about the world of spirit. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, and as always, I leave you in God's love and light.